Dr. Olivia Bennett stared at the isolation chamber one last time. The small silver dome would be her home for the next 3 years. It sat alone on the dark side of the moon, far from any other human structure. She took a deep breath, trying to calm her racing heart. "Are you sure about this?" asked Dr. Alan Murphy. His eyes showed concern behind his glasses. 3 years is a long time to be alone, Olivia. She nodded, her brown hair pulled back tightly in a ponytail. "I've trained for this my whole career. The human mind is the final frontier for deep space travel. If we can't handle isolation, we'll never reach the stars." The official purpose of the mission was clear: test how long a human could maintain psychological stability in complete isolation. Future missions to distant planets would require years of travel. The military had funded most of the project, which made the civilian scientists uncomfortable. Captain Frank Carter watched from across the room, his arms crossed. He had been against the mission from the start. "There's something they're not telling us," he had told Olivia privately the night before. "Why put so much money into watching someone sit alone for 3 years?" Olivia had brushed off his concerns. This was her chance to make history. Dr. Murphy handed her the final checklist. "We've stocked enough supplies for 5 years just to be safe. The communication system will allow for weekly reports. Emergency protocols are in place if anything goes wrong." Admiral Patricia Stone entered the room, her uniform perfectly pressed. "Dr. Bennett, I trust you're ready to begin." "The shuttle leaves in 30 minutes. Olivia nodded. "I'm ready, Admiral." The Admiral's face remained serious. "Remember, your primary mission is to document your psychological state. Any other observations are secondary but should be recorded." "Other observations?" Olivia asked. "Anything unusual," the Admiral said simply. Later, as Olivia packed her final personal items, Captain Carter approached her again. "The energy readings from your quarters have been strange all week," he whispered. "Something's not right. Frank, please. Not now." She zipped her bag closed. "This is too important. Just promise you'll stay alert," he said. "And if anything feels wrong, use the emergency protocols." Olivia had known Frank since college. His concern touched her, but she couldn't let doubts creep in now. "I'll be fine," she said, squeezing his hand. "It's just science." The launch went perfectly. As the Earth grew smaller behind her, Olivia felt a strange mix of fear and excitement. The isolation chamber looked exactly like the simulation she had trained in, small but efficient, with separate areas for sleeping, working, and exercise. The communications officer's voice came through one last time, before she would enter the dark side of the moon. "Dr. Bennett will lose direct contact in 5 minutes. The relay satellites will maintain your weekly communication schedule." "Understood," she replied. "Any final words before you begin isolation?" Olivia looked at the blue marble of Earth disappearing from view. Something about the mission still felt strange, but the opportunity was too important to pass up. 3 years isn't so long when you're making history," she said with a smile. As her shuttle landed near the silver dome, the instruments began to react strangely. The energy readings spiked suddenly, then stabilized. Olivia noted it in her log, but didn't report it. She wanted nothing to delay the mission now. That night, as Earth disappeared behind the lunar horizon, Olivia settled into her new home. She didn't notice the faint blue light that sometimes flickered in the corners of the room, or the soft whispers that seemed to come from nowhere. The isolation had begun. The first 6 months of Olivia's isolation passed according to plan. Her weekly reports arrived on schedule, detailing her daily routine, psychological observations, and occasional scientific experiments. The Earthside team monitored her vital signs and brain activity through sensors built into her living quarters. Dr. Alan Murphy sat at his monitoring station, frowning at the screen. "These patterns don't make sense," he muttered, pointing to Olivia's latest brain scan. The neural activity showed unusual spikes during her sleep cycles. Nancy Reed, a lieutenant assigned from the military side of the project, looked over his shoulder. "Is it something to worry about?" "I'm not sure," Murphy replied. "It's not dangerous, just unexpected." Her brain is acting like it's processing massive amounts of information, but she's asleep. Admiral Patricia Stone received these reports with increasing interest. After each of Olivia's transmissions, she would disappear into private meetings with military officials that none of the civilian scientists were invited to attend. By the end of the first year, the monitoring team noticed something else strange. During scheduled communications, they began experiencing unexplained interference. Sometimes Olivia's video feed would freeze for seconds at a time, or her audio would distort. "It's probably just solar activity," the communications officer explained, but Dr. Murphy wasn't convinced. One night, Lieutenant Reed approached Murphy in the empty lab. "I found something," she whispered, sliding a tablet toward him. "These documents were classified, but I have clearance." Murphy scrolled through the files with growing concern. "Secondary objectives, what does that mean?" Reed shook her head. "I don't know exactly, but they installed equipment in her chamber that wasn't on the official manifest. Something designed to measure quantum fluctuations. Why would they need that for a psychological study?" Murphy asked. The mystery deepened during the second year. Global space agencies from Russia and China contacted the American team, demanding explanations for the energy fluctuations they were detecting from the lunar station. Admiral Stone dismissed their concerns as equipment malfunctions. Captain Frank Carter, who had been reassigned to a desk job after questioning the mission too publicly, began gathering his own information. He still had friends in the program who shared his doubts. "Something's happening to her up there," he told Murphy during a secret meeting. "The energy readings from her station have increased by 300% in the last month alone." Then, 2 years and 1 month into the mission, all communication with Olivia suddenly ceased. For 3 weeks, every attempt to contact the lunar station failed. Admiral Stone mobilized recovery resources, but publicly maintained that it was likely a technical issue. The scientific team worked around the clock trying to reestablish contact. Then, without warning, Olivia's signal returned. "This is Dr. Bennett reporting from Lunar Station Alpha." Her voice came through clearly. "Apologies for the communication gap. I experienced some equipment failures that have now been resolved." Everyone noticed the change. Her voice was calmer, her manner more detached. When asked about the 3-week silence, her explanations were technically correct but somehow incomplete. "The distances between things are not what we thought," she said during one report. "Time flows differently when you understand its true nature." Dr. Murphy brought these concerns to Admiral Stone. "She's speaking in riddles, Admiral. Something happened during those 3 weeks. Your job is to monitor, not interpret, Doctor," Stone replied coldly. As the mission entered its final year, Olivia's communications became increasingly cryptic. The remote sensor showed she had modified some of her equipment, though for what purpose wasn't clear. Her final transmission before another communications blackout sent chills through the monitoring team. "I understand now. All of it. And soon, you will too." Then silence fell again, and this time it lasted longer. The silence lasted 2 full weeks this time. When Olivia's communications finally resumed, everything had changed. "Lunar Station Alpha to Earth Control. Can you hear me?" Her voice came through with perfect clarity, unnaturally so. The usual static and delay were completely absent. "We receive you, Dr. Bennett," replied the communications officer. "We've been trying to reach you for 14 days. What happened?" Olivia paused before answering. "Time works differently now. For me, it feels like much longer than 2 weeks." She smiled into the camera, but the expression didn't quite reach her eyes. "I've made some discoveries." The monitoring team exchanged worried glances. Dr. Murphy leaned toward the microphone. "What kind of discoveries, Olivia?" "The kind that change everything," she replied simply. "I'm sending some data now." The files that arrived contained equations and concepts that left even the senior physicists baffled. Dr. Paul Green, the team's theoretical physicist, spent 3 days analyzing just the first page. "This is..." He hesitated, removing his glasses to rub his tired eyes. "This suggests matter can be restructured at the quantum level without energy loss. That's impossible according to everything we know." Remote monitoring showed Olivia had modified nearly all her equipment. Cameras that once showed her sleeping quarters now displayed strange devices assembled from standard tools and components. What is she building up there? Lieutenant Reed wondered aloud as they watched Olivia work. Her movements were precise and confident, as if following a blueprint only she could see. During her next scheduled communication, Admiral Stone personally took control of the conversation. Dr. Bennett, you need to explain these modifications immediately. They violate mission protocols. Olivia looked directly into the camera. Admiral, I've found something in the fabric between spaces. It speaks to me in mathematics and light. She held up what appeared to be a small crystal that glowed with a blue inner light. This isn't from Earth. It wasn't here when I arrived. Stone's face hardened. Explain yourself clearly, Doctor. I'm not alone here, Olivia said calmly. I never was. The isolation was necessary for me to perceive it, but there's a presence in the darkness between stars. It's been watching us. The Admiral cut the video feed and ordered the room cleared of all non-essential personnel. Only Dr. Murphy and 2 senior military officials remained. She's experiencing psychosis, one of the military doctors suggested. Isolation-induced hallucinations. Murphy shook his head. Her brain scans don't show patterns consistent with psychosis. They show increased activity in regions we barely understand. Over the next month, Olivia's communications became even stranger. She spoke of windows between worlds and minds beyond the veil. The scientific equipment recorded energy patterns that defied explanation. The monitoring team began experiencing unusual phenomena themselves. Several members reported identical dreams of standing on the lunar surface watching lights dance between stars. Dr. Green claimed equations would appear in his mind upon waking. Admiral Stone finally made the decision. We're bringing her home. Prepare for early extraction. Captain Carter, who had been quietly investigating from the sidelines, confronted the Admiral. You knew this would happen, didn't you? The isolation was never about testing psychological resilience. Stone didn't deny it. We detected something during previous lunar missions. Something that only appeared when a single human was present, with no others nearby. We needed someone who could make contact. As the extraction team prepared for launch, all communications from Lunar Station Alpha suddenly stopped again. The final message they received was just 3 words from Olivia. I understand now. Then every sensor in the lunar station went dead simultaneously. When satellite imagery finally managed to penetrate the strange interference surrounding the station, it showed the dome still intact but surrounded by a faint blue glow that no instrument could properly measure. The race to reach Olivia had begun. The Earth team split into 2 clear groups within days of Olivia's final message. One faction, led by Admiral Stone, viewed the situation as a potential threat. The other, with Dr. Murphy at its center, believed something miraculous was happening that humanity needed to understand. She's not in danger, Dr. Murphy insisted during a tense meeting. These energy patterns show growth, not deterioration. Something is changing her, yes, but it might be the most important evolutionary step in human history. Admiral Stone slammed, her hand on the table. Or it could be an unknown force manipulating one of our top scientists for its own purposes. We don't take chances with national security. The military began preparing a heavily armed extraction team. Their orders were clear: secure Dr. Bennett and all research materials using whatever force necessary. Captain Frank Carter watched these preparations with growing concern. He had known Olivia for years. Whatever was happening to her, he couldn't stand by while the military treated her like a threat. I'm putting together my own team, he told Dr. Murphy in the facility's parking garage late one night. People I trust. We need to reach her before Stone's soldiers do. Murphy nodded. I've been studying her communications more carefully. I think she's been leaving us messages, hidden ones. He showed Carter a series of seemingly normal data transmissions from Olivia. Look at the pattern of pauses between words. It's not random. It's binary code. When decoded, the hidden message read, "Not alone, not dangerous. They fear what I found. Come quietly." While the 2 factions prepared their separate missions, the global scientific community began noticing strange phenomena. Astronomers, reported unexplained gravitational anomalies near the moon's dark side. Quantum physicists around the world woke from dreams with similar equations in their minds. Dr. Paul Green worked day and night trying to build a theoretical framework for what might be happening. "If what I'm thinking is correct," he told Murphy, "Olivia has made contact with something that exists partly outside our dimension. Something that can alter the fundamental laws of physics in limited spaces." Lieutenant Nancy Reed secretly copied classified files about the true nature of the mission. "It was never just about isolation," she told Carter. "They chose the dark side of the moon because something was already there. Something that only appeared when observed by a single human consciousness." The final automated data packet from Olivia's station confused everyone. Her vital signs simultaneously showed patterns, consistent with clinical death and unprecedented brain activity. It was as if she existed in two states at once. Admiral Stone used this data to convince her superiors that immediate military intervention was necessary. "Dr. Bennett is either dead or compromised. Either way, we need to secure that station now." Carter's unofficial team prepared to launch 12 hours before the military mission. They had one shuttle, minimal weapons, and a plan to reach Olivia first and help her explain whatever she had discovered before the military could interfere. "If we're wrong about this," Murphy said as they prepared to board, "we're risking our careers and possibly our lives." Carter nodded grimly. "And if we're right, we're witnessing first contact with something beyond human understanding. I'd say that's worth the risk." As both teams made their final preparations, all communication systems at the lunar base suddenly activated. Every screen in the facility lit up with a single image: Olivia Bennett, smiling serenely at the camera. Behind her was not the inside of her station, but what appeared to be open space filled with dancing lights. "I'm coming home," her voice announced across all channels. "Prepare yourselves for what I've become." Before anyone could respond, radar systems detected an unauthorized launch from the lunar surface. Something was leaving the moon and heading toward Earth, moving at impossible speeds. The race to reach Olivia had become a race to prepare for her return. The lunar module appeared in Earth's atmosphere without warning. Radar stations worldwide tracked its descent, noting with alarm that it was moving too fast for a safe landing. Yet somehow it slowed perfectly, defying the normal laws of physics, and touched down gently in a remote field outside the original launch facility. Military vehicles surrounded the landing site within minutes. Soldiers in hazmat suits formed a perimeter, weapons ready. Behind them, scientists prepared monitoring equipment to measure radiation and other potential dangers. Admiral Stone arrived by helicopter, her face grim. "No one approaches until we've established safety protocols," she ordered through a megaphone. "Dr. Bennett, if you can hear me, please respond and confirm your status." Dr. Murphy and Captain Carter arrived moments later, having rushed from the facility when they heard the news. They pushed through the military line, ignoring shouts to stay back. "She's not a threat," Carter yelled at the soldiers. "Lower your weapons." The standoff lasted 17 minutes. Then, without any external command or signal, the lunar module's door began to open. A hush fell over the assembled crowd. Steam hissed from the opening door, obscuring the figure that emerged. When the mist cleared, Olivia Bennett stood before them. Physically, she appeared unchanged. Her standard-issue jumpsuit was clean and pressed, her brown hair pulled back in the same practical ponytail she'd worn at launch. But something was undeniably different. She moved with unnatural grace, and her eyes seemed to reflect stars no one else could see. Most striking of all was her smile, calm, knowing, and utterly unshakable. "Hello?" she said simply, her voice carrying easily across the field despite her soft tone. "It's good to be back." Admiral Stone approached cautiously, flanked by 2 armed guards. "Dr. Bennett, you are hereby ordered to submit to immediate medical examination and debriefing." Olivia's smile never faltered. "Of course, Admiral. I'm happy to explain everything I've learned." She stepped forward, and several soldiers instinctively backed away. "But first, I should tell you, I wasn't alone up there." Dr. Murphy pushed past the guards. "Olivia, are you all right? What happened to you?" "I'm fine, Alan," Better than fine. She looked around at the assembled crowd, her gaze lingering on certain individuals. Some of you already feel it, don't you? The dreams, the equations appearing in your minds. Several scientists exchanged nervous glances. Dr. Green stepped forward. How did you know about that? Because we're connected now, all of us. She gestured toward the sky. They've been waiting for so long watching us develop. The isolation was necessary. One mind alone is easier to communicate with than many. A medical team approached with scanning equipment. As they moved closer to Olivia, their instruments began to malfunction. Digital displays flickered with strange symbols before going dark. That's interesting, Olivia said, looking at the failed equipment. The physical world still reacts strangely to my presence. That will fade as I adjust. Carter stepped forward now, stopping just a few feet from her. Olivia, it's me, Frank. Do you recognize me? Her smile softened. Of course I do, Frank. I remember everything about my life before. I'm still Olivia. I'm just more now. Admiral Stone signaled to her soldiers, who tightened their formation. Secure the subject and the module. Full quarantine protocols. As the soldiers moved forward, small objects around Olivia, pebbles, grass, dust, began to float gently upward. No one had seen her make any gesture or give any sign. It simply happened. The soldiers halted, uncertain. There's no need for this, Olivia said calmly. I've come back to help, not to frighten you. But you should understand something important. Her smile remained, but her eyes grew serious. I'm still human, but what I've learned cannot be contained, and what I've become cannot be controlled. The floating objects gently settled back to Earth, and Olivia stepped forward into the stunned silence. Now, shall we begin? Olivia sat calmly. In the interrogation room, unlike standard procedures, they had not restrained her. After what happened when they tried, the metal cuffs simply falling open without being touched, the military had opted for a different approach. Admiral Stone watched through one-way glass as Dr. Murphy conducted the interview. Recording devices surrounded them, though half had mysteriously stopped working. Can you explain what happened to you up there? Murphy asked gently. I can try, Olivia replied. Her fingers traced patterns on the table that seemed to leave faint glowing trails that quickly faded. 2 months into my isolation, I began hearing something. Not with my ears, but in my mind. At first, I thought it was the beginning of psychosis. She looked up, her eyes momentarily reflecting pinpoints of light that weren't in the room. But it wasn't madness, it was contact. Contact with what? Murphy leaned forward. They don't have a name we could pronounce. They exist partly outside our dimensional understanding, Olivia smiled. They've been watching us for thousands of years, waiting for a mind they could connect with. Behind the glass, Admiral Stone frowned. She's delusional, she muttered to her aide. Inside the room, Olivia turned toward the mirror. I'm not delusional. Admiral, I can hear you perfectly well through the glass. Everyone in the observation room froze. Olivia continued her explanation to Murphy. They needed one human mind, completely isolated from other human thoughts. Previous attempts at contact failed because our minds are too noisy when we're together. We form a kind of collective field that blocks finer perceptions. To demonstrate, she held out her hand. Above her palm, a small model of the solar system appeared, formed from what looked like blue light. Their science is so advanced it appears magical to us. They exist in 11 dimensions, while we perceive only 4. Dr. Paul Green rushed into the observation room, clutching pages of calculations. The equations in her transmissions, they're consistent with M-theory predictions about higher dimensions. This isn't madness, it's breakthrough physics. Inside the interview room, Olivia continued. They've offered us membership in something like a cosmic community. There are 18 other intelligent species currently in communication. Why you? Murphy asked. Why Olivia Bennett? It could have been anyone properly isolated, she answered. But they've been watching our scientific progress. The military was right about one thing. Something was detected during previous lunar missions. Brief moments of contact that faded, When astronauts returned to their companions, Admiral Stone finally entered the interview room herself. This information is now classified at the highest level. Dr. Bennett, you will be transferred to a secure facility for further debriefing. Olivia's smile never faltered. That won't be necessary, Admiral. I didn't come back to be hidden away. I came back to serve as a bridge. A bridge to what? Stone demanded. To everything we've been missing. Olivia stood and walked to the wall. She placed her hand against it, and the solid surface seemed to ripple like water. Our understanding of physics, energy, consciousness, it's all just the beginning. Captain Frank Carter pushed into the room, ignoring protests from security. Olivia, are you still... Are you still human? She turned to him, her expression softening. I'm still me, Frank. Still human, but connected to something greater. She reached out and took his hand. Where their skin touched, a soft blue glow appeared. And you can feel it too, can't you? Carter's eyes widened. I see stars, entire galaxies. That's just the surface, she whispered. Admiral Stone moved to separate them but found herself unable to step forward, as if held back by an invisible force. The isolation was never about testing human psychology, Olivia announced to the room. It was always about preparing for first contact, and now that contact has been made, nothing will ever be the same. As if to punctuate her words, every electronic device in the building simultaneously powered off, then on again. When the screens reactivated, they all displayed the same message in glowing blue text. We come in peace. She is our voice. Listen. Word of Olivia's return spread despite the military's best efforts to contain it. Cell phone videos of the lunar module's landing appeared online, showing the strange blue glow that surrounded her as she emerged. Within days, world leaders demanded explanations. In a heavily guarded conference room, Olivia sat at the center of a large table. Representatives from major world powers watched her with a mixture of fear, wonder, and suspicion. You claim to offer humanity a choice, said the Russian diplomat. What exactly is this choice? Olivia's calm smile remained unwavering. To join a community of intelligent life forms across our galaxy, or to continue developing in isolation. She raised her hand, and above it appeared what looked like a holographic map of the Milky Way. Certain stars glowed with distinct colors. These are the 18 species currently in communication. The closest is about 12 light-years from Earth. And how would we communicate across such distances? Asked the Chinese representative. The physics you understand is limited, Olivia explained. There are ways to fold space to connect points that seem distant. The beings who contacted me exist partially outside normal space-time. They can bridge these gaps. Captain Frank Carter stood in the corner of the room. Since touching Olivia's hand, he had begun experiencing strange dreams and moments of clarity that came with flashes of insight. He was not the only one. Anyone who made direct contact with Olivia began showing signs of change. Dr. Murphy, who had spent the most time with her, was already demonstrating minor abilities, knowing what people would say before they spoke, affecting small electronic devices with his thoughts. This is dangerous, Admiral Stone insisted to the U.S. President in a private call. Whatever has happened to Bennett, it's spreading. We need to isolate her completely. But it was too late. Too many people had seen her, touched her, heard her voice. Each became a smaller version of the bridge she described. Dr. Paul Green presented his findings to the scientific community. The theoretical framework matches what we're observing. Consciousness itself appears to be a medium through which higher dimensional information can be transmitted. Dr. Bennett was simply the first strong receiver. The debate raged globally. Some viewed Olivia as humanity's greatest hope, a path to advanced technology, clean energy, space travel, and peaceful contact with other intelligences. Others saw her as the beginning of an invasion, subtle, insidious, and unstoppable. What guarantee do we have that these beings are benevolent? Demanded the British Prime Minister during a closed session. Olivia looked at him with eyes that seemed to see beyond his physical form. You don't have any guarantee. That's why it's a choice, not a command. They will not force contact on unwilling minds. But those who choose contact are changing, pointed out the Indian representative. You yourself are no longer fully human, are you? I am human, Olivia said firmly, just connected to something larger, like a neuron that suddenly realizes it's part of a brain. Outside the secure building, crowds gathered. Some carried signs welcoming the cosmic visitors, others protesting the alien infiltration. Military forces around the world went on high alert. Admiral Stone made her move while Olivia slept. Special forces equipped with technology designed to dampen the strange energy field surrounding her entered her quarters. But when they tried to sedate her, their equipment failed. Olivia awoke and simply walked past them, walls seeming to open before her like curtains. This path leads nowhere, she told Admiral Stone, who waited outside. You cannot contain what I represent. Captain Carter, now openly supporting Olivia, gathered others who had experienced contact. This is the most important moment in human history, he told them. We're being offered advancement beyond our imagining. Dr. Murphy, whose abilities grew stronger daily, demonstrated by assembling a small device that produced energy from seemingly nothing. This is just the beginning, he said. Olivia is merely the first, not the only one who will be changed. The choice is coming for everyone. The world stood at the precipice of transformation, facing a decision that would determine humanity's cosmic future. The United Nations General Assembly had never seen such security measures. Metal detectors failed near the entrance, forcing guards to resort to physical searches. Electronic jammers designed to prevent recording suddenly displayed strange patterns before shutting down completely. Olivia Bennett walked calmly to the podium, her simple black dress contrasting with the formal attire of the diplomats. Behind her stood Captain Carter, Dr. Murphy, and 27 others who had made direct contact with her. They all shared the same serene smile and slightly distant gaze. Distinguished representatives, Olivia began, her voice carrying effortlessly through the hall without need of the microphone, which had stopped working anyway. I stand before you as both a messenger and a message. The cameras broadcasting worldwide captured a faint blue aura that seemed to surround her as she spoke. 3 years ago, I volunteered for isolation to test human psychological resilience. What I didn't know, what most of you didn't know, was that isolation was necessary for first contact. She paused, looking around the room. While I was physically isolated for 3 Earth years, my mind experienced what felt like centuries of learning. Time flows differently when consciousness expands beyond normal dimensions. In the secure bunker where she watched the broadcast, Admiral Stone gave orders to cut the transmission. Technicians reported back that nothing they did had any effect. The beings who made contact exist in dimensions beyond our normal perception, Olivia continued. They have been waiting for humanity to reach a stage where communication became possible. That time is now. She raised her hands, and above the assembly appeared a 3-dimensional map of glowing points of light, a visual representation of the cosmic community she had described. Every species that joins this community undergoes a transition. It is not forced. It is offered one mind at a time. Those who accept find their consciousness expanded, connected to something greater than themselves. Dr. Murphy stepped forward now. I was skeptical at first, he told the assembly. I'm a scientist, I demand evidence. But what I've experienced since connecting with Olivia can't be explained by our current understanding of physics or biology. To demonstrate, he lifted a glass of water from the podium without touching it, the liquid forming perfect spheres that floated in the air between them. Reports flooded in from around the world of similar phenomena. People who had only seen Olivia on television began experiencing strange dreams and moments of inexplicable knowledge. Some woke up understanding complex equations they'd never studied. Others found they could sense the thoughts of those close to them. Military forces that had planned to storm the UN found their weapons suddenly inoperable. Soldiers reported feeling a profound sense of calm, followed by understanding that transcended their training. This is how it begins, Olivia explained to the worldwide audience. Not with ships landing in major cities or official government protocols. It begins mind to mind, person to person, a gradual awakening. Captain Carter addressed the security concerns. Nothing is being forced. No one is being harmed. This is evolution, not invasion. In scientific centers worldwide, researchers studied the changes in those affected. Brain scans showed new neural pathways forming, activity in regions previously thought dormant. Quantum physicists recorded patterns that suggested interaction with particles theorized but never before observed. 3 months after Olivia's UN address, nearly a third of Earth's population reported experiencing some level of contact. New technologies emerged that solved energy crises and environmental damage. Medical breakthroughs cured diseases thought incurable. Admiral Stone finally met with Olivia one last time, in the lunar isolation chamber where everything began. "I was wrong," the Admiral admitted. "I thought we were losing something essential, about humanity." Olivia smiled her knowing smile. "We're not losing our humanity. We're discovering what it was meant to become." On the lunar surface, Olivia stood with her growing circle of fully transformed humans. They looked outward at the stars, their forms occasionally shifting between solid and something more ethereal. The same knowing smile that had first signaled Earth's defeat now represented its greatest victory. The isolation had ended. Humanity had joined the cosmos.